Hi, it's John and welcome to the channel. It is Thursday, April the 3rd. Is that correct? Yeah, Thursday, April the 3rd today. It's 4:45 a.m. with the big blue mug of coffee. Hope you're having a great day today. I certainly am. And oh, by the way, I'm getting close to 25,000 subscribers. If you click right there, maybe we'll get there by the end of the week. Thanks for being here once again. So this morning, this is going to sound kind of weird. I woke up thinking about fear. The other day I did a video, it would have been March 31st. There were a couple of things I put in my initial cut of that video to look out for. Only one of them made it in. Now, the first thing was watch for Carney to take a victory lap over the carbon tax. I did a video on that yesterday. Please watch that one, The Gall of the Liberal Party. Check that one out. But the other thing that didn't make the cut was be prepared for Carney and the Liberals to ramp up the fear on Wednesday. And particularly, you're going to see a lot of it today. Yesterday was Donald Trump's, what did he call it, the Day of Liberation or something? He imposed all these tariffs on all these countries. And for the most part, Canada made it out of that unscathed, which is a very good thing. But true to form, the Liberals need the fear. I've said here that the baby boomers were voting for Liberal because they think Mark Carney is a better person to negotiate with Donald Trump. I don't know whether that's really the case. They're doing it out of fear. And right on schedule, just as I figured would happen, Mark Carney walked out yesterday and he said this.
We're going to fight these tariffs with countermeasures. We are going to protect our workers. And we are going to build the strongest economy in the G7. In a crisis, it's important to come together, and it's essential to act with purpose and with force. And that's what we will do.
Mark Carney ramping up the fear. It's a great way to motivate people, to get them to do something. Remember something that happened just a couple of years ago, right? Now, I love quotes. I keep a long list of them. When I see a good one, I keep it. I wish I could remember every quote off the top of my head, but I can't. I don't have a good memory. I remember a few of them. And a lot of them are about fear. And one I remember, and it's quite a long one, but I've got it in my memory and I never forget this one. It's by H.L. Mencken. And this is the kind of thing that politicians like Mark Carney, they rely on. So here's the quote for you. The whole aim of practical politics is to keep the populace alarmed and hence clamorous to be led to safety by menacing it with an endless series of hobgoblins, all of them imaginary. Now, I'm not suggesting the threats from Donald Trump are imaginary, but they're the least of your worries, and we're going to get to that in just a moment. But a big fear came yesterday for the Liberals. A lot of people saying this was a win for Carney yesterday, but something scared the crap out of them yesterday. And let's go to the screen and find out what that is. So this is David Jacobs. If Canada isn't on the list for Trump tariffs, then Carney shouldn't be on your list for prime minister. So this is the list that Donald Trump held up yesterday. Canada's not on the list. And I'll bet you the first thing the Liberals did was, damn it, we're not on the list because we can't keep the fear factor up. They can't put this online and say, look, we're on the list. We're not on the list. Can Carney keep the fear going for the next 25 days? You know, this has been a nice little break for him. You know, when a multi-billion-dollar company has an office in the third floor of a bicycle shop in the Bahamas, you kind of want to avoid that, and it's given a bit of cover over the last couple of days. Brian Lilly here yesterday. Donald Trump didn't add any new tariffs on Canada. We are CUSMA exempt, but still have steel and aluminum like every other country. But Carney's entire campaign is based on picking a fight with Trump on the tariff issue, which is why he might look distressed here. I've got a message of hope for you in just a moment. Dare I say hope and change, okay? And some good numbers that might help you if you're a conservative feeling concerned about the polls right now. But he's absolutely right. He looks distressed because things weren't as bad as he wanted yesterday. You need to understand, Mark Carney wants the pain. The Liberals have depended on this because they've used it to ride their way to the top of the polls. And I've been saying this for months. Danielle Smith, message of hope here. Let me just roll this back a little bit so you can see it. Today was an important win for Canada and Alberta, as it appears the United States has decided to uphold the majority of the free trade agreement. Kuzma, and that's true. She goes down here and says no tariffs applied to energy, minerals, agricultural products, uranium, seafood, potash, and a host of other Canadian goods. People just hammering her for this post yesterday because she didn't mention the automotive industry. They didn't read the post because she mentions it right here. There is still work to be done, of course. Unfortunately, tariffs previously announced by the United States on Canadian automobiles, steel, and aluminum have not been removed. And then she goes on to talk about diplomacy. I think Danielle Smith had a lot to do with what happened yesterday, that we weren't hammered even more by these tariffs by Donald Trump. Brian Lilly, once again, here's your message of hope. Okay, and it's from the other guy in this race who's not talking fear. He does mention fear in here, but you have a bigger fear than Donald Trump. Okay. Why is Pierre Poilievre talking about issues other than Donald Trump? At a speech in Toronto, he said because there are issues that matter and people who are hurting due to liberal mismanagement, and he won't forget them.
Some Liberal supporters and lobbyists have asked why I keep talking about the cost of living, housing, crime, and about the Liberal drug crisis instead of focusing exclusively on Donald Trump. My answer is this. The threat of the President's actions against Canada are serious, and I've proposed serious answers to those threats. But the struggles that Canadians are facing at home, the fear and the hurt that I hear everywhere across this land, those are real too. And I will not stop talking about these problems which predate Donald Trump and which will outlast Donald Trump if we do not act to fix them. Everyone is struggling with the cost of living. Young Canadians are stressed about never affording a home, bills they can't afford. Their parents worry that they might overdose, their children might overdose on fentanyl.
Poilievre is talking about things that have been affecting you and are affecting you right now. In 26 days, we'll have another prime minister, whomever that may be, and this issue with Trump will be over with. And Carney's counting on you being fearful. President James Madison had a great quote here. Crisis is the rallying cry of the tyrant. And if you thought Justin Trudeau was bad, just wait for Mark Carney. The guy is a nightmare. Look at this. Just ignore the last 10 years, bro. Elect us again. Now, I'm wearing my Wexit hat again. There's a reason for that. If you're concerned about Canada's future and you're voting for Mark Carney because of that, you need to give this a lot more thought, because Trump wants to deal with Carney because he'll sell us down the river, and what's next could benefit him greatly. So let's look at this. This is just from the other day. Danielle Smith leaves the door open for a vote on Alberta leaving Canada. And then this is from Preston Manning, and this was just yesterday. Mark Carney poses a threat to national unity. And let's just read a little bit of this. I don't want to go into the whole thing. But whether politicians, the media, or voters in central Canada realize it or not, the greatest future threat to national unity is emerging not from Quebec, but on the Western Front, again revealed by the recent Polaris survey. On account of the mismanagement of national affairs for the last decade by the Liberal government and its consistent failure to address those issues of greatest concern to Western Canadians, large numbers of Westerners simply will not stand for another 4 years of Liberal government, no matter who leads it. The support for Western secession is therefore growing, unabated, and even fueled by Liberal promises to reverse many of their previous positions. Such promises of expediency simply don't ring true in the West. Who, except the most politically naive, would believe Mark Carney's promises to reverse the Liberal positions on everything from east-west pipelines to identity politics and climate change when standing behind him is a cabinet of 23 MPs who, just months ago, were advocating for the very opposite and have done so for years? I'm going to go down to the bottom and read the final couple of paragraphs. But if the Liberals, employing the fear of U.S. President Donald Trump to secure the support of easily frightened voters, should be returned to office, then the agenda of the conference should be to consider ways and means of peacefully seceding. And he's talking about a conference, a constitutional conference, and that's what he's referring to there. The next Prime Minister of Canada, if it remains Mark Carney, would then be identified in the history books, tragically and needlessly, as the last Prime Minister of a united Canada. So that's where we're heading, folks, under a Mark Carney government, because this separation movement is growing. I did a video on this with the Wild Rose Independence Party. Other people are talking about this. We're about 26 days away from launching this. Danielle Smith said 6 months for the next leader of this country to abide by a number of rules, the tanker ban, the pipeline ban, all of those things. We'll have a national unity crisis. Now, I do have some hope for you here. If you're a conservative, David Coletto, Abacus data. It looks like one of the big areas of disagreement among some polls is what non-voters in 2021 are going to do. In our latest survey, among those who say they didn't vote in 2021, the vote intention is 40% CPC, conservative 31, liberal. Among those non-voters who now say they are certain to vote, 46 conservative, 34 liberal. So the polls may look pretty grim right now, but there is a little bit of hope out there for you. But just prepare for the Liberals to ramp up the fear. Whether they can do it for the next 25 days remains to be seen. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. Onward to 25,000 subscribers. Please click on subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and I'll see you in the next one.